Well, very few American TV series have ever been broadcast on domestic Chinese television networks. It's not unheard of. Back in the 1980s and 90s, a couple of series, including The Man from Atlantis and Garrison's Gorillas, were considered innocuous enough to make it onto state TV. But nowadays, first with the widespread availability of pirated DVDs and later, even more conveniently, downloads and live streaming, mean that Chinese fans can enjoy the latest US TV series at almost the same time as American audiences, albeit with sometimes rather dodgy subtitle translations. So with so many eager Chinese viewers keeping up with the latest episodes of The Big Bang, The Wire, Gossip Girl and so on, just what kind of influence do Chinese net users think these TV series have had on them and on Chinese culture? Well, to get an idea, let's now cross over to the newsroom where our researcher Esther Dung is standing by. Now, first off, Esther, can you just recap a little on just how long Chinese TV viewers have been able to see American TV offerings here in China?
Well, yeah, sure. As you mentioned, the first two American TV series China imported were The Man from Atlantis and Garrison's Gorillas in the early 1980s. Then in the 90s, the only US TV series shown was Green Pants. But it seems this actually left quite an impression on many Chinese people's minds. Baidu.com, the Chinese equivalent of Google, once asked which US TV series had the biggest influence on Chinese audiences, and lots of posts below mentioned this TV series. For example, 水晶乳猪. The first American TV series I saw was Green Pants, and I honestly don't know how many times I've rewatched it. It's really good. And also Wolfgang, who says, Garrison's Gorillas mainly influenced those born in the 60s and 70s, while Friends has fans mainly born between 1975 and 85, and it even changed their values and outlook on lives. But with DVDs and easier downloading from the internet, the choice has exploded in recent years. Actually, when talking about a TV series online, most people here consider Prison Break as a milestone, since it was actually the first time that Chinese people could watch an American TV series almost as it was broadcast. Like CL94, who says, the concept of American TV series in our mind actually started from Prison Break. At that time, so many people were crazy about it, and hundreds of millions of comments were made online. In fact, it lost a lot of audience in the US after the first season. So if there weren't so many Chinese fans, it would be almost impossible for the hero Miller to become so globally famous. Since then, more and more Chinese people began to watch US TV series online. And actually nowadays, Chinese audiences just have to wait an additional day to watch newly released episodes from popular programs, say Gossip Girl or The Big Bang. So the Hainan Daily puts it like this. 30 years ago, Chinese people could only see a couple of US TV series, which were actually released in the US years ago. But now the question of whether or not we have a US TV series to watch has changed to which TV series we'd like to watch.
Okay, so thanks for that detailed summary. So with this abundance of US TV series available here in China, what are Chinese audiences, or at least some of their thoughts on them?
Well, one aspect which many people mention is the chances to learn from these shows about American culture and not least practice English. So they certainly have a solid audience base here in China. In fact, due to their popularity, they've also drawn much attention in the academic circle. For example, two researchers from Communication University of China co-released a paper dealt with Chinese audiences of American TV series. In the paper, they point out that these audiences are mainly young people from 19 to 40 years old, and that over 70% of them have a college-level educational background. And they go on to say that this is bound to influence the entertainment industry as a whole in China to some degree. But not everybody is so happy about the proliferation of American TV series in China. One typical example on this side of the argument is this poster on Sina.com, who sees the shadow of cultural colonialism. Here is his take. Americans' ideology, ways of living, and their values permeate into the US TV series. And this unbalanced information flow situation makes it easier for the US, the information output power, to expand its culture to other countries and weaken the political control.
Well, Esther, above all, what we're talking about here is American TV series influence in China. But apart from those kung fu series of the 70s and 80s, are there any indications of influence in the other direction?
Well, yeah. A certain number of posters do bring this aspect into the discussion. Although I have to say some of it is about tenuous. For example, 进京 says on CNTV.cn. In France, a big Chinese character Fu, which means blessings, is clearly shown on the lanterns on Monica's balcony. And Jack in Lost has a Chinese tattoo. American TV series are trying to attract the Chinese audience by adding Chinese elements. And Zhang Ali has this to say. Since more and more Chinese directors become famous in the world, they have brought Chinese culture to the rest of the world. So it's quite normal to see Chinese elements in US TV series. But interestingly, I've also come across with posters' complaints over what they see as discrimination against the Chinese culture, like 何不饼猪油 on 天涯.cn. In the Sex and the City, they ordered takeaway food from a Chinese restaurant no less than 10 times. And 温柔明月 agrees. I like House MD, but I have to say they have prejudices against China. For example, they attacked China's one-child policy and the Chinese people's belief. But the poster 赛燕高飞 doesn't think so, commenting on 1000fr.net. Lots of American TV series are about the dark sides of the government and society, but it doesn't represent the real US. By the same logic, the negative part of China shown in American TV series doesn't necessarily mean the real China. It's mainly caused by cultural differences.
Well, I would suggest to the previous poster there's no shortage of critics of the one-child policy here in China either. And as for a Chinese lantern and friends, well, I guess that poster's never been to New York. So finally, Esther, with all these US TV shows floating around the ether, what about their influence on Chinese TV producers and domestic shows? Any thoughts on that?
In this aspect, lots of posters seem to think Chinese domestic TV series could learn from their American counterparts. First, Bao Xiaoqun said this in the China Business News Daily. TV series production in the U.S. inherits the country's assembly line film production tradition, and they managed to find a good balance and a combination between tradition and creation. While this poster on iFensi.com thinks the market-oriented view is something Chinese producers should imitate. U.S. TV series are usually highly cost, so operators always take ratings as the highest priority. Once they find a TV series is failing, it's replaced. But in China, directors first finish shooting a series and then sell it to the networks. And as long as they start, this TV series won't be cancelled until the last episode, no matter how unpopular they are to the audience. Finally, this poster sums up his view. American TV series let us know what a world-class TV series is. They will have an impact on Chinese ones, but they will encourage us to make progress. In recent years, lots of our TV series are learning from American shooting methods and story design. But in terms of the whole production process and marketing operation, we still have a long way to go.
OK, thanks for that, Esther. And that was China Take researcher Esther Dong with online thoughts on the influence of US TV series in China.